Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. We're coming to you live from right here in stunning Los Angeles, California, the future host city for the 2028 Summer Olympics. That's right, folks, the games are heading our way in just a couple of years. But hold on, we've got one massive event to get through first. Over in Italy, the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics have officially kicked off as of this evening. The opening ceremony is underway, and for the next couple of weeks, we'll all be trying to sort out which sliding sport is which. Seriously, is it bobsled, luge, or skeleton? Why not just rename luge something straightforward like lying down sled racing to cut down on the confusion once and for all? Team USA has sent 232 competitors across the ice and snow, every single one with a real shot at standing on that podium and claiming gold. Imagine that medal draped around the president's neck someday. Talk about a photo op. But here's the frustrating part. Legal restrictions mean we can't show you any actual competition clips tonight because NBC holds the broadcast rights. Fair enough, they paid big money for it. Instead, let's pivot to something we can share freely: adorable dogs. Last night in New York, the 150th Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show wrapped up. This event dates all the way back to 1876, a true slice of quirky, feel-good Americana that never fails to charm. And speaking of quirky traditions, for years now, going back at least to around 2010, our show has made a habit of using state-of-the-art green screen effects to edit the actual canines out of Westminster footage. Take a look at what we pulled together for the 2026 edition. Clean, simple, minimal post-production hassle. Honestly, I think it improves the whole thing. No mess, no fur flying everywhere. This year's champion, a real surprise pick. Penny, a female Doberman pinscher. She outshone more than 2,000 other dogs and, let's be honest, a handful of handlers who aren't winning any beauty contests themselves. Penny becomes just the 42nd female to take Best in Show overall and the first Doberman to claim the title since way back in 1989. Now, hold on a second. Should we start calling a female one a Doberwoman? Just asking. But let's get real for a moment. In a country that's sliding toward more authoritarian vibes by the day, does a sleek, intimidating breed like the Doberman really feel like the ideal symbol right now? Penny might be the sweetest pup imaginable, but when someone in power yells, "Release the hounds," that's exactly the kind of dog that charges through the gate. Shifting gears to Minneapolis today, where border czar Tom Homan stepped up to the podium with some unexpected news. The federal government is easing off a bit on its heavy immigration enforcement push in the state. Due to improved cooperation from local authorities and a safer operating environment, Holman declared they're pulling back 700 personnel effective immediately. That's a start. Now only a couple thousand more to scale down. I never thought I'd live to see the day when people cheered a partial troop withdrawal from Minnesota. Right now, those 700 agents are probably zipping up their tactical pants, folding their oversized graphic tees, and booking flights back to wherever they call home. Attention, moms across America, your sons in federal enforcement gear are heading to the basement rec room as we speak. Even the president himself acknowledged today that his team might benefit from adopting a gentler approach on immigration matters, perhaps to conserve strength for the real battles ahead, like pressuring outcomes in the upcoming midterms, which are now just 9 months out. Make no mistake, Donald Trump appears ready to pull every lever possible to tilt those elections in his favor. He's floated ideas about Republicans taking centralized control of voting processes nationwide, targeting around 15 states in particular. In Congress, Speaker Mike Johnson is championing the so-called SAVE Act, a measure that would demand passports or original birth certificates for voter registration, barriers designed to complicate participation for as many people as possible. And then there's Steve Bannon, the most unfiltered voice in that orbit, openly advocating for armed ICE personnel stationed at polling locations on Election Day. He put it bluntly: surround the sites, prevent any alleged theft of the country. This from a man who served time after pleading guilty to defrauding donors over border wall funds, money that, rumor has it, went toward fast food breakfasts and snack runs rather than actual construction. The same individual whose name surfaces repeatedly in Epstein-related documents. Yet somehow, he's the one warning about others stealing elections. Recall Trump's own words during the campaign: vote for him and you might never have to vote again. That could turn out to be the single pledge he actually honors. On the topic of questionable victories, let's talk about the new Melania documentary. Reports claim it smashed expectations for a non-musical documentary, posting the strongest opening weekend in a decade. But strongest here might translate to losing tens of millions overall. How exactly did it pull in $7 million in ticket sales last weekend when theaters looked deserted in the lead-up? Whispers from industry insiders point to bulk purchases, large blocks of tickets bought up and then handed out for free. Sound familiar? Back in 2019, the Republican National Committee shelled out six figures for copies of Don Jr.'s book, stuffing them into gift bags to engineer a New York Times bestseller ranking. That book hit #1, despite zero evidence anyone actually cracked it open. It could be printed on neon paper for all we know. Similar tactics allegedly played out here. Organized buys funneled to Republican supporters and residents of retirement communities. Picture the scene in a senior center, nurses passing out medications alongside complimentary movie passes. Tough sell for folks who might prefer a nap. To be clear, some viewers did show up voluntarily. One group filmed themselves arriving, dressed in outfits that screamed coordinated effort, almost like walking redactions from sealed legal files. Suspicious? The kids might call it sus? Do they still say that? Apparently so. Critics have hammered the film with a brutal 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, 1 point below certain infamous flops. But the audience score? A near-perfect 99%, edging out classics like The Godfather. Coincidence? Or coordinated enthusiasm? Perhaps we need an investigation, call in the feds, impound the ticket stubs and concession records nationwide. Meanwhile, Amazon's Jeff Bezos just slashed hundreds of journalism jobs at the Washington Post. Budget priorities, clearly, pour everything into this project. And speaking of evolving alliances, our potential future cultural ambassador, Nicki Minaj, recently sat down for a conversation about her vocal Trump backing and whether it'll influence her upcoming tracks. She indicated, yes, changes are coming musically to reflect this shift. So brace yourselves. Things might intensify. That could mean collaborations we never saw coming, like one with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. His name pops up 137 times in Epstein-related records, far more than he'd previously admitted in describing their connection. Trump brushed it off yesterday, urging everyone to move past the topic and focus elsewhere. FBI Director Kash Patel has been making media rounds lately, defending his role and the handling of those files. Last September, he insisted there was no solid evidence Epstein trafficked minors to third parties. Yet the documents paint a different picture. When asked about regrets, Patel pointed to transparency under Trump's watch, citing emails as proof. But those examples? Heavily redacted, with key details obscured, phrases about fun nights, and descriptions of young individuals, names completely blacked out. If transparency means hiding the identities, then perhaps we're using different dictionaries. Why the heavy redactions on non-criminal mentions? What exactly is being shielded? Someone needs to clarify that. On a lighter note, though it's hard to call climate chaos light, the weather turned unusually warm today. New York hit 30 degrees, Los Angeles climbed to 88. Not sure we should celebrate planetary meltdown, but at least it's comfortable outside. Down in Florida, the bizarre winter patterns are wreaking havoc on local wildlife, particularly iguanas. Cold-blooded reptiles can't handle the freeze, so they go stiff and drop from trees like scaly fruit. Locals collect them, and many end up as meals: eggs, legs, tails, the works. Florida style. Turn an environmental crisis into dinner, only in the Sunshine State. With the Super Bowl just days away on Sunday, thoughts turn to game day eats. Traditionally, it's a festival of indulgence: chips, dips, wings. But under this administration's push to make America healthy again, we've invited a special guest to suggest smarter choices. Please welcome the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr.